Albert Breer, senior NFL reporter. We always love having him on. He makes us smarter every time he joins us. Aaron Donald, revised contract, $95 million over the first 3 years. That's up from $55 million on his old deal, $65 million in 2022 and 2023, all guaranteed. And I don't know what leverage he had here, Albert, but that's a pretty good deal for Aaron Donald.
I don't think there's any question. By the way, like, it's pretty fishy. I always find when a press conference is difficult to find, like, if it's hard for you guys to find the press conference, there's probably some weird stuff going on, right? Because isn't the whole idea of a press conference to publicize something?
To get
right?
press.
right. So I don't know. I thought I'd throw my 2 cents in on that. I mean, like, it's a groundbreaking deal in a lot of different ways. There's no question about it. You know, I think the fact that there are no new years on it is really the big one, because generally when you're doing a deal like this where a player has multiple years, the trade-off is the team gets control on the back end. And that's not what this is. This is like a straight $40 million raise. And you asked about leverage. Well, I think there are 2 things to look at here. Number one, I was talking to an executive for another team about the deal yesterday, and he said the key is that they don't have to worry about precedent. The Rams don't, because he's one of one. There's only one Aaron Donald. There's nobody like this. Nobody else can go back to the table and say, you did this for Aaron. Aaron's different. You know, and then I think number 2 is sort of the position the Rams were in was, do we want him on our team or not? And if he was really willing to retire, which he'd been rumbling about for 4 months, you can draw a hard line and say, we did this deal. We have you under contract for the next 3 years. We're going to hold you to it. But if that means he walks away, then you're without Aaron Donald with a team full of players in their prime that's, you know, very much built in a win now sort of way. And so I think those 2 things are the key. You know, number one, not really having to worry as much about precedent because there isn't another Aaron Donald out there. And you can basically say to other players, we did this for Aaron and Aaron alone. And then number 2, it's just the prospect of not having him on your roster versus, you know, what he can do for you with the sort of roster that you have right now if you're LA.
Are there parallels with the Lakers and the Rams that it's all about now winning? And you spend all this money. They got rid of all their draft picks. The Lakers don't have any draft picks. Now, it worked for the Rams. It worked for the Rams or the Lakers a couple of years ago. But there seemed to be 2 schools of thought. Golden State and the Celtics built their teams via the draft. You know, the Rams said, hey, we don't care about that. We'll go out and buy whatever we need to buy. We'll make a trade, you know, for our quarterback. But that philosophy with the NFL, it's a copycat league, Albert. Do you see teams trying to build through the draft, or they want that quick fix like what the Rams did?
Oh, no, I think you're seeing like a lot of teams reacting to what the Rams have done. And I think the biggest way you're seeing it is teams are seeing draft capital as being disposable now. You know, forever and ever and ever, like the first round pick was sort of this, you know, holy grail of NFL currency. And, you know, it was, you know, it's common that you would trade first round picks away for quarterbacks, but now you see teams doing it at other positions too. You see, you know, the Rams did it with Jalen Ramsey and Matthew Stafford, of course. You know, now you see the Raiders doing it with Devontae Adams. You see the Dolphins doing it with Tyreek Hill. So, you know, I think one of the main ways in which the Rams are influencing the rest of the NFL is they are showing other teams like that there's a different way to look at the value of a first round pick. And so I think that that's a big piece of it. And that's some of that influence we're seeing across the NFL. Remember, there were 8 teams this year that didn't have first round picks. And I think that's a direct result of the Rams sort of ability to win this way, devaluing what first round picks are in the league because teams are more willing to move them. And then I think the second piece of it is you do see, because of Sean McVay giving them a chance to win every single year, the same way Bill Belichick gives the Patriots gave the Patriots for 20 years a chance to win every single year. And you can throw Tom Brady in that and Matthew Stafford for the Rams. The feeling that because we have Sean McVay, because we have Matthew Stafford, because we've shown we can win on a consistent basis, and then because we're in Los Angeles, a desirable location, even if we have some holes on our roster as a result of this, we're a desirable location. So we're going to be able to get guys who are going to come in and want to gravy train a ring. And, last year that was Odell Beckham. And Odell Beckham, before he goes down in the Super Bowl, plays a major role for them. They paid next to nothing for him, And so they also have this back end benefit where they can spend draft capital and money on their top players. And then, you got to hit on some of your draft picks. There's no question about that. Les Snead and his department have done a good job of that. But also you've got the ability to sort of spackle some holes because people genuinely want to play there and are willing to come there for less.
If you could only add one for the same price, Aaron Donald or Cooper Kupp?
Oh, Aaron Donald. It's not a question for me. I think the interesting thing about the receiver position, Dan, do you see who traded away receivers this offseason?
Yeah.
The Chiefs and the Packers.
Yeah.
Those aren't stupid teams. You know what I mean? This isn't like the Detroit Lions. No offense to Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, who I think have done a good job there. But this isn't some team that hasn't won in 20 years trading receivers away on the other end of these deals, right? Look, I understand why the Raiders did it with Adams. I understand why the Dolphins did it with Hill. And the Packers and Chiefs did give representative offers to Adams and Hill respectively, but they were also willing to move on from them while they're paying other positions. And part of it was the Packers had a corner to pay. So now they've paid Jair Alexander. The Chiefs have a left tackle to pay. They're going to pay Orlando Brown. And so, when the price tag has gone up on their quarterbacks, right? Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers, the price went up. So you've got to cut corners other places. Where did those teams choose to cut corners? They actually were okay cutting a corner at receiver because the amount of receivers that are coming into the league and the ability of great quarterbacks to make do with less, right? And so I just think really what you're talking about here, when you're talking about that level of player, nothing against Cooper Kupp, who's a fantastic player. How hard is it to find a guy like him? You can find other guys like Cooper Kupp. I don't think you can find another guy like Aaron Donald.
Albert Breer, senior NFL reporter, lead content strategist for the Monday Morning Quarterback. It feels like you got a couple of teams that are, they're playing Russian roulette here with their quarterbacking situations. Mm-hmm. With Lamar Jackson, when do you sign him? Kyler Murray, when do you sign him? If you're the Browns, what do you do for insurance if Deshaun Watson is going to be traded? What are the Niners going to do? Can you keep Jimmy Garoppolo? Should you keep Jimmy Garoppolo? Rank the order of Amber Alerts there with these quarterbacking situations.
I think the Cardinals, there's just enough warning signs there, and it's good that he showed up. But I think their ability to get a deal done, I think Kyler's shown more of a willingness to draw a hard line than the other players on your list, right? And maybe he even uses baseball at some point as as a way to draw that line. But I just think look, I understand sometimes owners want to keep their money invested in the hedge funds for another 6 months so they don't pay a guy in February. They pay him in August instead, right? I get that. But we've seen so many examples this offseason alone of how the price is going up on players. And if you wait, you're going to wind up paying, a real tax. And I think that that's what's happened with both Kyler and Lamar, right? With both Kyler and Lamar now, by waiting and by being patient here and by saying we'll get it done when we get it done. Well, the number of quarterbacks making over $40 million a year, Dan, has doubled. It's gone from 3 to 6 with Derek Carr, Matthew Stafford, and Deshaun Watson now all over that threshold. And Aaron Rodgers is now over $50 million a year. And so I think that, both those situations bear watching because the market's changed. And if either of those guys decide I'm drawing a hard line at the Watson deal, which was fully guaranteed, well, now where do you go? Because now you got to put that money in escrow if you're Michael Bidwell or Steve Bisciotti. And so I think, because Kyler's been willing to draw a harder line, I'd say that's the one worth watching. But Lamar's worth watching too. Cleveland, I mean, look, I just, no one knows what the suspension is going to be. And so I think that they've sort of protected themselves where it's just sort of, you have to let the cards fall where they may, and there's nothing they can really do to control it. And I think they'd like to move Baker off the roster but they've set it up so like if they have to, they can. I think it's going to come down to how much money they're willing to swallow. But if they have to, they've got the cap space to carry him if they need to. And maybe it winds up being if Deshaun were to somehow be suspended for the whole year, like he becomes the insurance policy. Because I've been told they were willing to pay like $9 or $10 million of his salary to trade him before the draft. Maybe this just kind of becomes turnabout where it's like, okay, like now we have him here. So Deshaun's gone the whole year, then, we have him at least in place. Maybe we can talk him back onto the roster. And then the Jimmy thing, I think is just going to be a matter of who is willing to come in and redo his contract. And the Niners have already, talked to other teams about giving them permission to talk to Jimmy and his agents about his financials. So I would say, in a long-winded way, and I think I just took up 2 or 3 minutes of your time there, Dan. Murray and Jackson first, and then I would say Mayfield after that, and maybe Garoppolo fourth.
Help me understand the approach logic of Rusty Hardin, who's representing Deshaun Watson, that you go on a Houston radio station, and then you say getting a happy ending isn't illegal. Feels like he's hurting his client. I don't know how you help your client. Like, I would want my attorney to shut up. Don't try to win any court of public opinion. I want you to just win in court, not court of public opinion.
I had the same thought, and I asked around about this at the end of the last week with some lawyer friends of mine, like, why would you go public in this sort of way? The answer I got uniformly was because there's a narrative out there that you feel like needs to be corrected. And it sort of makes me wonder how much they knew about the 24th suit and whether or not they were trying to get in front of that. And maybe it relates to their defense on the 24th suit. That's the only thing I can think of, and obviously there's graphic detail in that one, and we don't know who's telling the truth. There are very few people that know who's telling the truth, but I that's the only thing I can think of, is that if there's a narrative out there that they feel like that Rusty feels like needs to be corrected, that's why you would do this. And maybe it's even getting in front of it with potential jurors. Like, you hope that a potential juror hears your message now, so it sort of sinks in. So by the time they're sitting there, in all likelihood in 2023, like, they already have that piece of it. They already know that piece of it. That's the only thing I came across over the last few days that explains it. Otherwise, I'd be with you. It doesn't make a ton of sense why you would be so public in saying the things that he said.
But it is, and I don't know how else to say this, but is a happy ending, while he says it's not illegal, is it prostitution?
Right. And I think that's, I think that's like a road that this could wind up going down in court. This is a complicated case, Dan. There's a lot of like tentacles here. And I think, if this thing gets to court, what you're going to find is like one suit isn't identical to the next, and so like they're dealing with, they're going to be dealing with, now 24, different accusers. And I think it would be, I'm not saying there isn't a pattern there, but I think it would be wrong to think that there isn't. I think it would be wrong to think that every single case is going to be analogous to the next. And so, like, I think what you're talking about could be Rusty Hardin making that sort of assertion in a handful of the cases and saying, this is where this handful of cases is. Like, that'd be my sense of it. I just, obviously, I think, like anything like this, like all sexual assault cases are complicated. And I don't think that this is going to be any exception. I think there's going to be differences from one case to the next if this thing does go to court.
Thank you, Albert. Good to talk to you.
All right. Thanks, Dan.
That's Albert Breer. You can read the Monday Morning Quarterback. He's the senior NFL reporter, lead content strategist.